Hey guys, we're back for another Mythic Legions Advent of Decay review, but today we're not taking a look at a figure, we're looking at the weapons pack. So we have got 5 different weapons packs and then we've got 1 extra accessory. So we've got the Dark Forces weapons packs, and we're gonna go through all of these, individually, I'm not just gonna hold them up on camera. We've got the Dwarf Pack, we have got the Vampire Pack, we've got the Elf Pack, and then we've got the Knight Pack. So they all come packaged in these plastic clamshells, so you can kind of keep them together if you want. And then we've also got the Kickstarter exclusive sword, Horsemen sword. We've seen this before with the Thistlethorn figure, but this one is a specific colorway. So we're just gonna pull these out, take a look at them, and see what's in them. Let's do it. All right, guys, we're going to take a look at a bunch of weapons. We've got our weapons rack ready back there, but we're going to take a look at one weapon individually first, because this is kind of the special weapon, the one you got for doing the Kickstarter, and that would be the Sword Horseman sword. So this guy is, a really massive two-handed longsword, but it has the 4 Horsemen's logo as the hilt on it. And the blade is silver, it's got a kind of gunmetal gray handle, and then it's got this copper embellishment here in terms of the actual big design on it. The one that we've seen before is the Thistlethorn sword. He had a blue one, so I think that's where this sword starts and stops. I have yet to see it anywhere else. So this is a pretty specific and special sword. It's just kind of the big thing, the extra bonus that you got for doing the Kickstarter. I really love this sword, though. I think it's probably one of my favorite designs. The unique aspect of it obviously is a big thing, but that's one sword. We got a lot more to take a look at, so let's just get started, and we're going to take a look at the Dwarf Pack first. So here's our Dwarf Weapons Pack on the rack here, and you can see we've got a pretty big spread. There's a lot of these that we've already seen before that I've shown off in other reviews. That's going to be a theme throughout all of them, but some of these are weapons that I have yet to come across, and honestly I don't really know if some of this stuff is supposed to be unique or if some of it's older or what. There's so many accessories in this line that honestly, I kind of get lost in them from time to time. So we've got quite a few to look at. I'm just going to take a look at each one individually, one by one, and give you an idea of what's in this pack and the others. So I'm just going to pick them up one by one, and we've got this big, massive, humongous hammer. This thing, it's like a big staff, but then it's also a double-sided hammer. It's got tons and tons of paint detail on it. You can see it's got this wild base to it as well. These huge spikes, they're pretty pointy as well. Paint detail all over it, kind of a black with a copper theme, and then it's got this green jewel at the end in the center. It's just a very unique design. I really, really like this thing. It's very, I don't know, it's very kingly almost. This kind of looks like something you might want to give to the Dwarf King that I've yet to review as of this particular video, so I guess we need to get on that. So we got that guy. We have got this little dagger. We've seen this a bunch of times. This is the one dagger that I don't particularly care for, just because it stretches out hands really easily. But one thing that you'll find with a lot of these weapons is that there is added paint detail all over the weapons pack stuff. So even if you've seen these weapons before, they have a lot more going on, because you're not buying a figure, you're getting your money's worth in terms of paint, plastic, and then just the general design. So we got that little guy. We have got this axe here, which we've seen before, and I absolutely love the color scheme that they've done with this particular set. So the green, the kind of turquoise green, and then we've got the copper, and then the black. I believe that we got this with the Cavern Dwarf Legion builder. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. We got this kind of big mace here. This is probably the least detailed because it's just the black with a bunch of silver dry brushing on it, but I like the design on this. I think Warrior comes with this thing. Again, someone let me know. We've got one of the coolest shields so far. This is the big, the big dwarven shield that I think looks, again, very kingly, but the paint on this thing is pretty wild. So you've got the big dwarven head in the middle with the, turquoise detailing on the outside, and then it's already got the handle attached on this one. You don't have to put it together because it came in the box that way, which is pretty sweet. And then we've got this stuff here. These are swords that I've yet to come across. So, if they're unique, that's even better. But we've got this guy here. You can see it's got kind of like a saw kind of embellishment down there at the bottom. A lot of silver dry brushing on this stuff. That's the big theme with this. Black with silver dry brushing, copper and green. I like the design there. We've got this really big longsword here. This thing is fantastic. A lot of paint detail all over it. More of that dry brushing everywhere. So you got that guy, and then we've got the last thing we've got is this, little kind of a long dagger, short sword type of situation. So more of the black with the silver. No green on this guy, but he's got the copper hilt. So I think a lot of this is very befitting of the dwarves. And then, of course, this is like my favorite shield ever so far. I think it's really fantastic. But this thing is definitely the star of the show for me. Everything about this is just wild. I love that base. It's really, really cool. So a lot of cool stuff in this one. You just got a lot of options in terms of who you want to give this stuff to. Obviously, you don't have to give this to a single dwarf. You can do whatever you want with it. Give it to every figure, give it to no figure, leave it in the package. But you've got a lot of options with this. So we've got that one underway. Let's take a look next at, I don't know, the elf one. So here's the elf pack, and just for sake of time, I'm going to show this pack alongside the vampire pack when I kind of throw up individual pictures of each thing as I look at them, because they're the exact same set, they're just different colorways. So the elf set is gold, silver, and green in theme, and then the vampire set is black, silver, and purple in theme. So it's just the same weapons, just different colorways. But we're going to get right into it and take a look at just what all's here. So to start, we've got one of my favorite weapons so far. We've got this humongous axe. We've seen this with the Shadow Elf Warrior. We've seen this with Malachi Cinderhorn. Really, really fantastic. I love the design of this guy. We have got a humongous longbow here. So this thing is very, very big. It's just about as big as, just as big as the huge axe. Again, it's as with all the other bows, it's got a elastic band here, a little string to actually key up an arrow, so you can put an arrow right in there. Nice design on it, very elven in design. We've got this monstrous shield. This thing just looks fantastic. I think this will look really, really nice with the Elf Legion builder for sure. When I ever get to that guy, a lot of paint detail on this thing, tons of silver piping and line work, and then of course the green jewels, which would be purple on the vampire builder. Again, we've got a handle instead of a clasp like the older shields. We've got a short sword here. A lot of elven style design. This one's very, very elven to me. Really like this one. Big fan of this particular design. We've got the long sword. We've seen this before a few times. I love this sword. This is one of my favorites so far. Again, same design theme. We've got the overall kind of elven look and feel with this particular color scheme. We do have a single quiver with one singular arrow. So kind of like what you'd get with the with any figure that has a bow or a crossbow, you would get a quiver and then you get one singular arrow. So they've done up that so you can, have them on their back or have it look like they're got one ready to go. We've got this monster here. We've seen this a bunch of times before. The big dual-bladed kind of sickle-type weapon. You can, unscrew it in the middle and you've got two single-handed weapons, or put them together and you can have one big, long, double-bladed weapon. So I dig this. I've said that every time I've come across this. I think that I really, really like it. And then lastly, we've got a shorter bow here, but again, just kind of the same thing. It's a little different in design. They're not exactly the same, these two bows, but they're very similar. You can see that they definitely belong with the same faction at the very least. And again, we've got an elastic band. So a lot to choose from here. Very, very different from what we got with the dwarf stuff, but obviously very, very much elven. And then of course, it also fits with the theme that we've gotten with a lot of the vampire stuff for their particular colorway as well. Next up, we've got the Knight set. This might be maybe one of the sort of more basic kind of sets, but it does have a couple very, very signature weapons in here that I grew very fond of doing some reviews previously. So let's just dig right in. First up, we've got a crossbow. So we've seen this a few times. What's interesting about this particular weapons pack is that this one doesn't come with a singular arrow. So you've just got the crossbow. It's done up with a black stock, and then you've got silver accents on it. So it's really basic, but that's pretty similar to the other ones so far. We have got the flail. So we saw this with Gonks, assuming it's the same one, and I think it is. So we've got it, just the same kind of silver, gray, and black color scheme, but we've got a real metal chain. So I love this weapon. I grew very fond of that with Gonks. That was one of the first figures I reviewed. We've got the sword that Gwendolyn Heavensbrand comes with. So it's done up with a silver blade, gold handle, but kind of a gold hilt, but kind of a copper handle. So I really like this sword. It's kind of weird. It's kind of interesting design, but it's very unique. I thought it was just specific to her, but clearly I was wrong there. We have got this curved blade. We've seen it a few times. And this is the one that I keep having QC issues with because the tip keeps breaking off just because it's so fine and it breaks off in the packages. So like Balaam has it, for example. This one's pretty good though. King Noblin has one of these as well, right? And we've got a blue handle with some gold accents and just a silver blade. The tip is in perfect condition on this one though, so we're doing good there. We've got the trident. So we saw this with Calavius. And I was a big fan of that then. I'm a big fan of it now. It's still got, kind of a very audacious gold and copper color scheme, so it's very, very knight-esque in terms of its coloring. It's not nearly as dark or grim as it could be with other figures, but I do really like this design. I love this weapon. Tons of ornate detail sculpted into the little handholds on the staff itself. We've got this really generic kind of basic knight's shield, which makes sense. I mean, it kind of seems like something just a regular old knight would have. So gold, silver, red accents. We've got a sword that comes with a sheath, and I want to say this is similar to what Gadriel has. But like I said, they keep running together. So we've got a sword that comes to a point, and then we've got a gold and red hilt. And then we've also just got a scabbard, a sheath for it, kind of a maroony color, and then you can put it on one of the belts that one of your figures has, so they can wear it. And then lastly, we have got this really, really adorned gold and silver axe with a lot of detail on the blades, a little bit of a jewel there. Nice paint job on it too. I'm really, really pleased. There's a lot of intricate line work there that came out really, really clean. And then you've got this kind of ribbed handle. So, a short axe, but it's really cool. It definitely looks like something you could give to, Delphina of Etheros or something like that. She'd probably be really cool with one of those, or like the Deluxe Knight, for example. So a lot of cool options with this one, but a little more on the basic side, but at the same time, for what you're getting, it kind of makes sense. And we saved the best one for last. This is the one that I've really wanted to open the most. The Dwarf is a close second, but the Dark Forces pack, or basically, just the evil pack, because this is stuff that we've gotten with a bunch of the quote-unquote bad guys in the line so far. So there's a lot of cool stuff in here. So let's just get right into it. We're going to take a look at the thing that I've been dying to get out the most first. So we're going to take a look at this guy first. So this is kind of what people are calling the turtle shell shield. And it's interesting because it's either an example of an error, or it's an example of just a different idea for what the Horsemen wanted you to do with this. Because it's not exactly just a standard shield that a character holds. It's got this peg in the middle. So what you do, and I'm going to use old Nubnik here as an example, you peg it in their back. You actually just stick it into the back there, if I can do it while I'm, on camera. So he can wear this on his back. And you've got him there, and he's got a shield. You might have seen this in the Siege at Bjorngar pre-order, because the new Little Goblin comes with one of these on his back. So you've got this guy. It does have two pegs on it, though, so you can actually use another handle and actually make someone hold it. The problem, though, is that it doesn't come with that. And that may be an error on the Horseman's part, or just, the factory's part or something. But you can really only peg it onto a character's back, or you have to cannibalize another shield's handle to actually put this in someone's hand. And what's interesting about this as well is that they've included adapters for this. So you could, if you need it to stick out further from the character's back, due to pauldrons or whatever, you get yet another of the 2.0 back adapters. And then we get a back adapter for 1.0 characters, because they have a larger rectangular peg in their back. So you could put this in their back and then peg this guy into it. We have got the little dagger here. So we've seen this a bunch of times. It's just got a kind of a navy blue with orange, almost coppery orange color scheme on it. So we've got that. We have got this axe. We've seen this before. This was one that I really, really liked, and one that, had kind of a special thing about it, because you can put this skull on it. So we now have another one of these guys, and, I really dig that. I think that's a fantastic, fantastic accessory. We have got this sword. We saw this with Zarya. So this guy's done up with a gold, copper handle, and then we've got the black with the kind of dry brush silver on there. We've got this guy here. This looks just evil. This really does look just like an evil person's sword. So this really angled blade, and then it's got a bone handle. I'm a big fan of the bone handles when it comes to this line. I think they do a really good job of hammering home just how nasty some of these characters would actually be. So this one's really fantastic. Brother Mandibulus would probably be really good for that one. We've got this guy here. We've seen this before. Who comes with this? Snag comes with this guy. So we've got the this kind of saw blade, little short sword with another bone, or maybe this is an antler kind of a handle, and then it's got all these spikes on this guard on the front of it. So this one's really fantastic. We have got the big sword that comes with Morgulith, but instead of her purple and silver, this one's done up in kind of a brown, coppery color to go in line with some of the other stuff we've gotten. And then it's got all those runes on there. A lot of wash on the blade. just a fantastic design. I mean, this really looks fantastic. You give this to a skeleton, would probably work really, really well for this, or maybe an orc or something like that would work really well with something for this. And then we got one of my favorite weapons in the whole line so far. This would be the weapon we saw with Brother Mandibulus. I don't even begin to know what you call something like this, but it's pretty crazy, wild design, tons of detail on it. A lot of wash on there, tons of sculpt in that particular blade, a lot of gouges, a lot of nicks and cuts and stuff. So yeah, another really cool one. The standout for this particular set though is definitely the shield. Whether you have a way to have someone hold it in their hands or not, the design on this thing is just fantastic. I love everything about it. It doesn't really look like a turtle shell to me personally. It feels more like something made out of like leaves really, but I get the turtle shell thing. It certainly does give that vibe off, but the kind of plating on it makes me think it's something that an elf might also use as well. So you've got options with all this stuff. I mean, obviously you can use this with whatever figure you want, but it's undeniable that this is one of the craziest sculpts we've seen so far in this wave, and I really look forward to getting this with the other goblin that we get in the upcoming Bjorngar wave. So there you go, guys. That's a quick look at all of the weapons packs from this particular Advent of Decay wave from Mythic Legions. This is kind of a weird video to shoot just because of the fact that I wasn't really reviewing things. It's more of a, here's a bunch of weapons, let's take a look at them. I really do dig this whole idea behind weapons packs, although I must say that in terms of giving different figures, different characters weapons, I normally don't do that personally. I've got a weird thing about making sure that a character has their own stuff, but I do love the idea behind this. Obviously, I got them all, so I'm definitely going to play around with them, see what I can come up with, and then I'm sure this is, you know, kind of the best thing ever for a lot of customizers and kit bashers out there. So there's a lot of fun stuff to be had here if you're interested in this kind of thing. And yeah, it's the typical Horseman quality. You get exactly what you think you're getting here. A ton of really cool weapons at honestly a pretty solid price. So that's gonna do it, guys. The Mythic Legions Advent of Decay weapons packs. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.